Good morning, everybody. It's Kula Dula from RawStocks. We have another edition of our pre-market prep. And today, data shows we might see new all-time highs. Is that what's going to happen? We'll go over it all. And is NVDA on its way to a $5 trillion market cap? We're going to find out. Stick with us. We'll get into it. Do a quick shout out to our sponsors, Black Box Stocks and GammaEdge. Without those guys, we would not be able to provide this to you every single day. So shout out to those guys for sure. Make sure you go support them with the link in the bio or description, kind of depending on where you're finding this content today. So as it stands, we saw yesterday a nice bullish run off a little bit of a pullback and retest, that chop zone we've been at, and we saw the extension into the end of the day. Well, what's happening with the markets because the government shut down? Well, you would think that the dealers would be positioned for the downside. Well, they are not. They are not. They are positioned for an upside move. If they are using VIX as their hedge. Well, we did see some buying yesterday, so that might be part of it. Okay, but I doubt it. I doubt it. There's always some high level calculation that you and I can't figure out based on flow. No matter how hard you try, there's no way you're going to be able to figure out where they're neutral at if they're going into VIX and multiple different spreads. I mean, there's just no way. But we do know that JP Morgan did indeed add a, let me pull this up real quick. Wasn't planning on doing this, but I will do it. They did go ahead and open a new collar. Okay. This is their new position. Let me turn off the settings on this. So you're going to see that they opened up on September 30th, they opened up a short call at 60. Oh, this is my bad. Wrong one. I'm getting there. Don't you worry. Okay, so they opened up the 69.55 calls. They went short on those calls. Okay. So 69.55, that's where they're short at. So we don't expect to see over necessarily 7,000 on the market. Okay. We don't expect to see that as of right now based on what they're showing us. So that puts us all the way up here. Okay. All the way up here for potentially for the quarter. But that's where we're going to potentially be topped out. They also went long puts to 62.90. So that drops us all the way back into this range right here. Okay. All the way back. So they're actually long here. And then they actually shorted, or excuse me, they went and sold 53.10s. So that's quite the difference here. They opened up Pandora's box, in my opinion, with that. Where that is a hell of a drop all the way down in this range, and also went short on the market, virtually looking for a potential pullback all the way towards 62.30, which would likely be visiting the daily 200 based on some relative type of decline, I would imagine. So that's kind of what we're eyeballing, and I think that is one hell of a time to open up something like that with the market shutdown. However, the data today shows, go to a 30-minute here. Data today shows that based on what we're seeing a floor being built here at 66.50, which, kind of go figure. Right? There's been this chop. We talked about this accumulation for distribution, but I did expect exactly what we're seeing right now. I thought that we'd get sold back down into this consolidation prior to the market opening. And we swung a couple puts. We're going to cash those probably at open because this looks like a potential pull back, and then run it back up. Okay, that's what it looks like. If we break 6650 to the downside here, this will spike VIX, and we'll likely see some relative pullback, probably towards 6600 or maybe even a little bit lower than that. But I doubt that we'd see more than 6600 today, but I could be wrong. Okay, I could be wrong. That would be the downside, a flash crash type of move. I mean, on a really rough day, based on our close here, would be, you know, a 2% day, that maybe even a 2.5% day puts us at 6,500 based on the markets, or based on the government closing. I highly doubt that's going to happen. The market looks bullish, and we're going to pull the data. Oh, before we do that, let's just take a look at this real quick. So this morning, ADP non-farm employment change, we see a drop by 32,000 here. This is significant in the fact that we're seeing actual jobs, or losing jobs here. This is from ADP themselves and not from the Department of Labor. And so you cannot hide from this here. This is a private company, of course, unless you're, maybe applying some pressure, but this is a pretty solid report in regards to jobs being lost here, and potentially contractions here. So that definitely probably spikes, if it's not already, the rate change in October. And then we're seeing PMI going to be dropped 15 minutes and 30 minutes after open. So those are your big time, peak into a potential turnaround at those times. All right, for today. So keep those in mind. So today, full complex, we remain call dominated. Nothing substantial to the downside. It looks more like upside for us to be starting to target towards that 6750 and potentially that 6800. You can see that today's 6750 is pretty huge. And if we drop this day, that 6800 becomes our supply here. But when we plug in today, it's definitely put 6750 on the mark. So as we open, what will happen? Will the people apply shorts? Will people go long? Well, we're really looking at dealer positioning, and that's going to be 6750, our pivot here at 6700 to 6690, and then all the way back down towards 6650. Currently, we're sitting here at 6657. Okay, so that puts us right in this range, right near the previous day open. This is going to likely be a deciding factor. That's kind of why I have it on here, that this open is going to be a pivot for us early. All right, now this will drive us down to 6650 if we're below it, in my opinion. And then we'll see if this thing wants to break down, and we see VIX start to spike and press down there. I find it hard to believe that this is going to happen after spending 2 days at this level, essentially 3, because we push back up into this range on Friday. But if it does want to drop, watch for it to come back down towards this 6615 area to 6600. All right. And watch the VIX spike. Otherwise, you're going long at open, virtually looking for this thing to press up. We might, and then I mean might, see some relative type of push from here, but you're going to have the 6800, 6680 to 6690 potential head and shoulders start to play out, because we're already sold here. You're going to see this come up to here, but we already know dealer positioning's here, so people might be trying here. But watch for this potential head and shoulders to try to play. We'll see if that's going to be the case. Like I said, everything looks bullish to try to press it up to 6750. Could you open up something down here for a 6700 visit, or even the 6750 visit today? Sure. I mean, absolutely. This might be one of those slow grinds where you see VIX start to increase as we push up through this. Okay. So if you see VIX start to climb with price, know that that could be a squeeze type of day, and it can staircase and it could sell down and then it could squeeze right back up. Just know if VIX is increasing and we're seeing price go up, that puts us in some type of squeeze day, and that really makes that type of target actually possible. However, if we start to see like price move up, VIX move down, that's really going to probably hold that pricing and be more supportive than it would be anything else. All right. So those are the things you need to monitor right there. As if we break below 66.50 and you see VIX spike and then like look like a bottom, right? Like we start to see a sharp reversal on the VIX, that's probably a good time to try to get long on some type of, move towards later on, some type of swing towards 66.70, or excuse me, 66.90 and 6700. But as of right now, everything looks bullish here, but this does look like a little bit of a setup. All right, looks like a little bit of a setup for a push here. All right, so this is what we're looking at today. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla opening up near around that 442 area. 440 was a pretty decent area, or 442 was a pretty decent area based on previous highs, right? So we're kind of monitoring and tracking that area, but we're still in a bullish support here. We're in a potential long for a squeeze up towards 450 and towards potentially some of these overhead shorts here. We have some dealer pressure, some overhead shorts at 462 and 477. Let me pull that up here to show you what I'm looking at. So as you can tell, full complex has 500 being a target here. But this week we're starting to see two overhead shorts, the 477.5, 462.5. And then we see our supply here at 450, demand at 430. So our box really between 450, 430. But if we do get a break over 450, you'd watch for a squeeze into these targets here, these shorts, 462.5 and 477.5. Those are your areas to watch. Specifically, you can see that the positive call wall would be at 470, but I would imagine if it's getting on this type of tear, it'd be one of those days where you see it stretch above its call wall and then see it pull back towards that area. So I would imagine this play towards 450 and potentially 470 would happen if we did see the squeeze on SPX over towards that 6750 area. I would have to imagine that's probably going to be the case. Additionally, we know that NVDA here is something where everybody's watching right now. It's been on a bullish tear ever since Friday, just bottomed out and then made its push up towards this range. Are we going to top out at this level? Potentially. All right. I think you need to think about the market cap here. All right. That's a big part of this is the market cap. And that's the reason why we've been stuck at this 180 range for so long, is because we need to see something else, virtually in regards to future EPS here, in my opinion. 185.15, virtually a pivot point. Let's go to full complex here. You're going to see 185's the new call wall. So will we mount this and make our way towards 190? Well, that's where we're sitting at, right? So we're going to see if 185 gets lost. If 185 gets lost, watch for that revisit towards 180. And potentially into that 177 range. All right, 180 most likely is your new floor, based on the data that we're seeing. All right, but if we lose it, then look out, because I think we have some relative pullback likely to happen. All right, and I'm talking about retesting some lows over here at 173.5. But as of right now, it looks and remains bullish. Watch for the 185 touch and go for a push towards 190. This would be on the theory that we see a virtually open and start to climb on the S&P today. All right, the NASDAQ, something similar as well. You can see both of them are back about 0.4% here, and on the overnight, it's virtually rolling us back into our consolidation. Will this be something where we sit on it today and we chop and burn everybody, or will this be that actual squeeze that people have been talking about? We're gonna find out today. There's a lot of bullish data, and sometimes when it leans one way, that's when we see some type of correction. So we're going to be monitoring it today. If you're interested in trading with us, come visit us at RawStocksLLC.com. That is RawStocksLLC.com. We have a $7 7-day trial, or you just come and join us. You could use the code, I think, what is it, 50 off? I think 50 off for your first month off. First month, 50% off. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in this morning. Make sure you subscribe, share, and like this. And if you got issues with what I'm looking at, make sure you comment. Talk to me about it. All right. Until next time, guys, we'll talk to you later.